We are living way beyond our means.
Welcome to Irish History. Let's get into today's topic. On the 24th of April 1916 of Easter week, Patrick Pearse, on the steps of the GPO, read out the proclamation of the Irish Republic. But before I read what the words said on the proclamation, first let's get into the drafting and printing of the proclamation. The plan of the rising wasn't just to separate Ireland from Britain, but a document proclaiming an independent Irish republic. It is believed Pearse wanted the document to have an element of heroism, a view supported by Kathleen Clark in her autobiography, Revolutionary Woman. On Tuesday, during Holy Week, Kathleen mentions her husband Tom Clark told her sometime before Pearse had been asked to draft it on the lines intimated to him and submitted to the council. He did, and some changes were made. James Connolly's own influence on the drafting of the document was positive, with the assertion of sovereign people, social justice, and control of natural resources. It's not unknown what input the five other signatories had in the draft, but they were united in faith, pride in the Irish nation, freedom, social justice, and civilization which is inherently Irish. The final version of the proclamation was agreed upon, and two sheets of paper were given to Thomas MacDonagh for secret keeping. On Easter Sunday, the military council meeting in Liberty Hall, James Connolly was given the papers and was assigned the responsibility to have it printed. The printing shop in Liberty Hall was in a small room 9 by 7 feet, and the only light was from a single window. The confined space in the printing shop was restricted and was inadequate for the job. The men printing it were resourceful. The machine used was a down-crown Wharfedale, and it was in a run-down condition. It was purchased by Connolly in 1915 because he found difficult getting a working printer to produce Workers' Republic. On Good Friday, 1916, the three men, Michael J. Malley, Liam O'Brien, compositors, and Christopher Brady, a printer, were secretly given notice by Connolly himself they are to print the proclamation on poster-sized paper which he would provide. The men felt there wasn't enough type for the job for the size of the paper in the printing shop, but these men knew the importance of this work and message to the Irish people. They quickly tried to find solutions. Michael Malley knew a printer based near Capper Street named William Henry West. He is an Englishman who was a rebel at heart who has done work for the Republican movement. When William gave Michael a font of type consisting of a pair of cases for two compositors, each and four cases of type and handful of assorted type. All of this was put on a handcart and pushed by Eddie Mulligan, a member of the Citizen Army. The three men, Malley, O'Brien, and Brady, started to work on 9 o'clock Easter Sunday, while under armed guard by the Citizen Army, to make sure the premises wasn't raided by the Royal Irish Constabulary. Even though the IRC knew Liberty Hall was used for Republican activities, the RIC was keeping watch of the place. The RIC were there that Easter morning because volunteers had a quantity of explosives, but neither the RIC nor the British Army were willing to raid Liberty Hall because of the resistance they would meet from the Citizen Army. The men came up with a plan to divide up the work by cutting the two sheets into four sections, each compositor selecting a number of paragraphs, which they proceeded to set up themselves using two cases of type. The men were finding it difficult to complete a portion of the work since the work itself was too advanced for them because they didn't have sufficient type. The men consulted with the solution with Connolly, and the solution was half the proclamation be printed with the upper half typed, then they can type the lower half. Even with the solutions which they still had to consult with Connolly, the work lasted late into Easter Sunday night. Over 1,000 copies were printed off on a full-size poster. The original order was to have printed 2,500 copies because the Rising was supposed to be national, but since the order was cancelled by Owen MacNeill, the Rising focused in Dublin and a few other places in Ireland. But regardless of it, there wasn't much paper for the 2,500 order. The other issue the men came across was the paper itself. Because of its poor quality, the wolf there proved difficult and time consuming. Brady had to keep the machine operating. Even inking was difficult on the type, and rollers even refused to maintain even pressure, which smudged in parts and faint printed other parts of the proclamation. Another difficulty was the line spaces forcing its way moving up and had to be repeatedly forced to be moved down. Fair to say, Brady had his work cut out for him, as the other two men did. Public na Heron was printed in a plain wooden text, as were the next lines in capital. Another difficulty was the words, because there had to be corrections like they ran out of the letter E, which an F had to be converted to E with sealing wax. The paper James Connolly got was from Sackett Paper Mills in Dublin. It was greyish, poor quality, and cheap, and too thin it would easily tear, which makes it a miracle there were copies that survived, even though not many. The work was completed on Monday morning, and as instructed by Connolly, the 1,000 copies were handed over to either Captain William Partridge or Miss Helena Maloney, and went to the GPO. With the copy read out by Pearse, the rest of the copies were distributed in the centre of Dublin by Sean T. O'Kelly, went around with a bucket full of paste, from Princess Street and O'Connell Street, pasting the copies on pillars of the GPO, shop fronts, plinths of statues, and on the gate of Trinity College. He also had spares, and he got the envelopes in the GPO and posted 3 letters, one to the secretary of the Archbishop of Dublin, Monsignor Curran, second to his fiancée, Phyllis Ryan, and to his mother. It was the post sent to his mother that was delivered. He posted the 3 in a nearby street away from the GPO. The reason he did so, mostly because the GPO would be attacked by the Crown forces. So he wanted to make sure the copy survives. The size of the paper is 20 by 30 inches. The type area is 29 inches and length of line 18 and a quarter inch. The spacing of the upper part and lower part is different. In the National Museum, their copy is 5/8, while in Leinster House is 5/16. Now, time to read the proclamation. Public the Heron, the provisional government of the Irish Republic to the people of Ireland, Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her old tradition of nationhood, Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organized and trained her manhood through her secret revolutionary organization, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through her open military organizations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army, having patiently perfected her discipline, having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself. She now seizes that moment, and supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefensible. The long obstruction of that right by a foreign people and government
has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms, standing on that fundamental right and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world. We hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign independent state, and we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare, and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to, and hereby claims, the allegiance of every Irish man and Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and of all its parts, cherishing all the children of the nation equally, and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government, which have divided a minority from the majority in the past, until our arms have brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland, and elected by the suffragettes of all her men and women. Their provisional government, hereby constituted, will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonor it by cowardice, inhumanity, or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valor and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed, on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clarke, John McDermott, Sean McDonough, P.H. Pearse, Eamon Kent, James Connolly, Joseph Plunkett.